The internet has transformed nearly every part of our lives, from how we work and relax to how we communicate and exist day to day. It seems there is a space online for everyone. No matter what your interests are or what beliefs you hold, there is always someone or something out there that shares the same perspective. The internet has connected people in ways that were once impossible. It allows individuals from anywhere in the world to interact and share ideas. There is an overwhelming amount of content online, much of which most people never even realize exists. If you are looking for something, anything, whether it is a service or a product, legal or illegal, moral or unethical, the internet provides access to it. How you use this access is a personal choice, and it can be used for positive or harmful purposes. Similar to the surface web that we use every day, the dark web also contains websites, forums, and services. However, it exists beneath an added layer of security. Beneath the visible internet lies a network of hidden and restricted activity, separated from the rest of the online world. The dark web is widely known as a center for illegal online behavior, and it extends much deeper than most people expect. It is a space where criminals, predators, spies, drug dealers, and even human traffickers operate, all concealed yet operating openly within that environment. Accessing it does not take long if someone chooses to do so, but the real question is whether they should. The internet can generally be divided into three main categories. First is the surface web. This includes everything most people use daily: YouTube, Twitter, and all major social media platforms. It is what we commonly refer to as the World Wide Web. Content on the surface web is easy to locate because search engines like Google index nearly everything. Every second, more than 1,000 photos are uploaded to Instagram. Around 8,000 tweets are shared on Twitter. Over 70,000 Google searches are performed, and close to 100,000 YouTube videos are viewed. Because of this activity, the surface web feels enormous. And in terms of traffic, it truly is. Almost everything people do online happens here. You can search for almost anyone and find some level of information about their life. However, sensitive details such as bank accounts or medical records are not available. These are stored behind secure, password-protected systems that only authorized users can access. This leads us into the next layer, the deep web. The deep web refers to all online content that is not indexed by search engines. In simple terms, if something cannot be found through Google, it is considered part of the deep web. If you have ever logged into your email account, you have technically used the deep web. While the name may sound intriguing, the deep web is not particularly exciting. It is mostly routine and ordinary, similar to the surface web, but with additional privacy. What is important to understand is its size. The deep web makes up approximately 96% of the entire internet. Even if you spent every day exploring new websites for the next 50 years, you would barely scratch the surface of the information that exists online. There is simply too much data, and much of it is inaccessible to the public. Beyond the deep web, in a very small and hidden portion of the internet, exists a network where websites are encrypted and disconnected from standard identification methods. These sites operate without visible IP addresses, making them difficult to trace. Users access them through encrypted software designed to fully hide their identities. In this environment, boundaries are minimal and nearly anything is possible. This is the dark web. But how does it function? How can someone remain hidden on a platform that exists within the same internet everyone uses daily? If you are browsing the surface web, there is always a chance that your activity is being monitored. For the average user, nearly everything you do online can be tracked, and in many cases, it already is. Many websites monitor what you search for and what content you view, then use that information to promote products or services that match your interests. This practice is not new. Platforms like Facebook, Amazon, and most social media networks engage in this behavior. They share user data with advertisers worldwide, something you technically agree to through the terms and conditions that most people never read. This process is intentional and not accidental. The internet was never designed to be fully anonymous. Some individuals see this level of monitoring as a serious privacy concern, while others see no issue with it at all. The question is how far this tracking can go before it becomes harmful. Interestingly, the United States government raised similar concerns more than 2 decades ago. They needed a way to secure their online communications because the internet was not originally built to protect anonymity. As a result, government transmissions could be intercepted during transfer, which was considered unacceptable. In the mid-1990s, researchers at the U.S. Naval Research Laboratory began developing a solution known as onion routing. This system protects data by enclosing it in multiple layers of encryption. The innermost layer contains the original message. To simplify the idea, imagine sending a message from one point to another, but it must pass through three intermediaries, A, B, and C. The message is encrypted 3 times, and each layer only contains information about where the message came from and where it should go next, nothing more. Because of this structure, the original data remains concealed. At each midpoint, one layer of encryption is removed, revealing instructions for the next destination. After passing through all points, the final layer is removed and the message is revealed. This method of encryption allows data to move across multiple locations without being exposed to interception. Only the intended recipients can view the information. Thanks to onion routing, darknets such as Tor are possible. Darknets operate alongside the regular internet, but require specialized software to access. Tor, short for the onion router, is named after the technology that enables it. On the surface, it appears similar to a standard web browser. However, through Tor and related networks, users can access websites that are not available to the general public. The tools and requirements needed to access the dark web attract a wide range of users globally. Website addresses on the dark web do not resemble familiar domains like youtube.com. Instead, they appear as long, random strings of characters and typically end with .onion. Attempting to open these sites using a standard browser will not work, but they will load when accessed through Tor. This environment is known as the dark web. One common entry point is the hidden wiki, which lists hundreds of hidden services available on these networks. These listings include sites offering fake U.S. driver's licenses and passports, illegal weapons, and drugs. This only represents a small portion of what exists. Similar to the surface web, online marketplaces are very common on the dark web. These platforms sell items that are difficult or impossible to obtain through legal channels, including weapons such as rocket launchers. This content is not endorsed here, but understanding how these systems operate is important for context. Traditional payment methods are rarely used on the dark web because options like credit cards can be easily traced, removing anonymity and increasing legal risk. For this reason, virtual currencies dominate these marketplaces. Bitcoin plays a major role due to its near-anonymous nature. Along with other cryptocurrencies, it is essential to the operation of anonymous online markets. Users typically create a Bitcoin wallet and exchange cash for cryptocurrency, which can then be used for transactions with limited traceability. When people think of the dark web, one of the first things that comes to mind is the large number of sites selling illegal drugs and similar products. These markets do exist. In 2011, a darknet marketplace called Silk Road began operating. It later became one of the most well-known platforms associated with the dark web, where a wide range of illegal goods could be purchased. Almost any illegal drug you could imagine was available. Vendors from around the world sold everything from marijuana to cocaine and from DMT to LSD. If drugs were not of interest, the platform also offered items such as firearms, counterfeit money, along with some books and clothing. However, after just 2 years of operation, the website was seized by the FBI and shut down in October 2013. During that short period, from 2011 to 2013, Silk Road generated more than 9.5 million Bitcoin in revenue. If we extend this example slightly and assume those Bitcoins were sold at Bitcoin's peak price in 2017, around $20,000 per coin, Silk Road's total revenue would exceed $187 billion in only 2 years. Silk Road, one of the most well-known dark web marketplaces, played a significant role in Bitcoin's early growth. When Silk Road launched in 2011, Bitcoin was worth less than $1, but because the dark web relied heavily on a decentralized cryptocurrency, Bitcoin became the ideal solution. In reality, Bitcoin's rise cannot be separated from a certain level of illegal use. The site's creator, Ross Ulbricht, was identified and arrested in 2013, which ultimately led to the platform's shutdown. He received 2 life sentences plus 40 years in prison, with no possibility of parole. This outcome raises concerns about fairness. While illegal activity does exist on the dark web, its scale is often exaggerated. Many major services are eventually shut down, whether by local authorities or federal agencies, such as the FBI. Still, where demand exists, supply usually follows. When one site is taken offline, several others quickly appear to replace it. After Silk Road was closed, Silk Road 2.0 emerged, only to be taken down less than a year later. After that, Silk Road 3.0 appeared, and this cycle has continued for years. Many creators and administrators of these platforms were also identified and convicted of similar crimes to those attributed to Ross Ulbricht. However, their punishments were far less severe. The largest vendor on Silk Road received only a 10-year prison sentence. The creator of Silk Road 2.0 was sentenced to just over 5 years in prison for building essentially the same type of marketplace that resulted in Ulbricht receiving 2 life sentences. Nearly everyone else connected to these platforms received sentences of no more than 10 years. Even if you have never visited the dark web or were not even aware of its existence, it still has an impact on you. Data breaches and leaks are increasingly common. If your personal information was stored in a company database that was compromised, there is a chance it could be sold somewhere on the dark web to anyone with access. To give some perspective, social security numbers can sell for as little as $1. This information is issued to every U.S. citizen and can be used for identity theft. Botnets are also inexpensive. For just a few dollars per hour, someone can launch a distributed denial of service, or DDoS, attack that can temporarily shut down most websites or online services. These attacks can seriously disrupt individuals and businesses. If you have ever played online video games, you may have experienced this yourself. Medical records can also be purchased for as little as $50. Stolen credit card information is widely available as well, allowing someone to make purchases and avoid payment. In many cases, this data is not even sold. It is simply posted publicly. Some websites leak personal information belonging to politicians, celebrities, and ordinary people alike, with very limited options for prevention. Even more concerning, there are darker activities that occur on the dark web, including the presence of multiple hitman services. There are services that claim they can assassinate almost anyone in the world for as little as $5,000. Many of these offers have been exposed as scams, but not every single one falls into that category. Even if a large portion of these claims are fraudulent, the fact that people are willing to trust anonymous individuals online to carry out real killings is deeply troubling. There are also marketplaces that advertise real human organs. How these organs are obtained is unclear, but for those searching, such listings do exist. Child exploitation content is, unfortunately, a larger presence than it should be. Websites like Lolita City and Playpen were eventually shut down, but at their peak, platforms like these reportedly had more than 200,000 users. Similar forums existed where users openly discussed methods of abducting children from various regions of the world. These discussions included how to hide victims, details about children they claimed to possess, and even more disturbing acts carried out in secrecy. This represents only a small glimpse into a very dark section of the internet. The absence of regulation allows nearly anything to exist. As users explore deeper layers, the content becomes increasingly disturbing. Yet, despite the reputation of the dark web, roughly half of Tor-related funding has historically come from the United States government, which is surprising given how the dark web is commonly perceived. Many individuals who have been arrested and imprisoned for illegal activities conducted on the dark web do not appear physically intimidating at all. However, if someone can manage a drug operation online or attempt to hire contract killers using cryptocurrency without exposing themselves to direct danger, physical appearance becomes irrelevant. These are people you might pass on the street or stand behind in a grocery store. They appear completely ordinary, and there is no obvious way to know what they may be involved in. The dark web is often described as a massive criminal underworld filled with society's worst individuals. While this portrayal contains some truth, it is not entirely accurate. Estimates suggest there may be only 2,000 to 10,000 hidden services on the dark web, with just over half classified as hosting illegal content. Even these figures are uncertain. as hidden services are intentionally difficult to track. Of those services, fewer than 6% of Tor users actually access hidden sites, which amounts to under 120,000 people. Out of billions of internet users worldwide, only a small fraction use the dark web. Likewise, among billions of websites, only a few thousand are considered illicit. In perspective, this is a very small portion overall. It is unrealistic to expect everyone in the world to act in good faith. That uncertainty is part of the risk and cost of open access. While the darkest aspects of the web do exist, other parts serve a different purpose. Many countries heavily censor online content they consider inappropriate, usually under government authority. The dark web offers an environment free from such censorship, allowing information to surface that might otherwise remain hidden. It provides a platform for people to speak openly and report important issues without fear of suppression or physical retaliation. Several major news organizations maintain dark web portals to allow whistleblowers and sources to share information safely and anonymously. At the same time, people now share nearly every aspect of their lives online. 10 or 15 years ago, this behavior would have seemed unreasonable, but today it is largely accepted. Gradually, online privacy has been reduced, and the dark web offers a way to reclaim anonymity. Whether individuals use that anonymity responsibly or irresponsibly depends entirely on their choices. Drugs sold on the dark web are mostly illegal, but there are arguments that they can serve practical purposes, especially in regions where access is restricted. While law enforcement agencies and much of the public view platforms like Silk Road as harmful, its founder, Ross Ulbricht, believed he was contributing something positive. He argued that Silk Road reduced violence associated with traditional drug trafficking by creating a safer and more transparent system. However, despite presenting himself as nonviolent, Ulbricht reportedly attempted to use dark web hitman services to arrange the deaths of 6 people. Interpretation plays a major role in how these events are viewed. The dark web is not inherently evil. It becomes dangerous primarily when people deliberately seek out harmful content. While such material cannot be completely eliminated, it can often be avoided. Some content simply should not be seen by the average person. If someone wants to avoid exposure to these risks, staying away from the dark web is the safest option. Regardless of whether its reputation is exaggerated or justified, those unfamiliar with it often underestimate what they may encounter. Once involved, leaving is not always as simple as it seems.